Oh my gosh. Nick, give us let's do a proper sports flash for this announcement.
Sports flash. Time for an unsportsmanlike conduct sports flash update. Sports flash. From the Sports Flash Sports Desk.
The two reporters, the first was Amy Just. The second was Sam McEwen. I will read Amy's tweet since she had it first. Breaking news, Trev Alberts has decided to take the Texas A&M athletic director job per source.
Dude, my stomach hurts right now.
Sam McEwen, he writes, per a source, Trev Alberts is leaving Nebraska for the Texas A&M job.
Was there any coincidence that ambulance just went down Dodge as you were reading that?
As my friend said earlier, just remember, it's never so bad at Nebraska that it can't just get a little worse. Wow. And yeah, now the news is trickling in. I just got a text message from somebody that I trust saying he is out.
Dude, I'm sitting right here.
He is out. Wow. So the reaction from Nick in the moment when we got the news during the break, a large F-bomb, a very large F-bomb.
Yep.
He was very excited for Dumb Debates.
It's my favorite segment of the week. I look forward to it. I woke up this morning bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. It's like, I can't wait to debate.
Let's see. Another report coming in from the producer of Hail Varsity Radio. Yep. And Nebraska Athletic Department had been informed via email that he has accepted the job. Wow. I mean, so
what just happened in the last hour?
Great question, man. Great question. All kidding aside about having fun with the old Grumball, I certainly would not have done that if I was not pretty confident that, it was going to happen. Alex and Lincoln, people forget Jimmy is wrong. Chris in Montana, you're effing kidding me. Oh my God. Our boss, Mark Onweiler. Well, this has been a weird day.
Nick G, not me.
Not you.
Says unbelievable in all caps.
Yeah, I think the thing that I am shocked by is not the news itself, but that I thought that the tide had turned. We were joking about it with BC, but when we brought him on,
he was surprisingly calm.
And I know that Brian, I think Brian does a really good job at talking about the team because Brian is not going to be someone who is like swayed. Brian doesn't like getting down into the muck with like the drama of everything. Brian doesn't want to cover, I don't think, a program like that. I don't think any of us do. I think we all want to cover a program that feels buttoned up, that feels like it's going in a good direction. I think
that is not this right now.
It doesn't feel like it's going in a good direction.
Well, we were getting reports that it was basically off the table.
It seemed like it.
Yeah.
Again, it absolutely seemed like it.
Gary Sharp was tweeting out cryptic tweets as well. It kind of felt like everybody around the know was getting the information that he was staying, and now
Sam says Brian is reverse Jack Mitchell. Great way to describe him. He, he is someone who, again, in all seriousness, I think that, bringing him on and getting his measured opinions kind of coming off of the heels of that, you mentioned Gary's tweet. It seemed like, okay, well, probably going to move in a different direction. And now we're getting tweets like this from Jay. Trev is about to go down as the biggest traitor in Nebraska history. He'll never be welcomed back. Wow. Wham's 1972 on YouTube writes, what a disaster. Go Jay says Jimmy takes another L. Many people happy to remind Jimmy that he predicted this would not happen, though I will throw my hat in the ring that I gave a Grumball that he would return.
Yeah.
Congrats to Connor Happer.
Yeah. No, he had 445. It happened at 452. I am right.
Oh.
Yep. Sorry, everybody.
We're going to have to go.
Now, technically, we are still waiting on the
official.
Yes,
official.
Technically, it hasn't official.
Here we go.
So
here we go, Jimmy.
Oh, so that means technically I'm still in the race.
You are still in the race. Yes.
Yeah. Actually, there's a probably very good likelihood that Nick is going to be the one that ends up.
Maybe. If he has informed folks, we have an hour and 8 minutes for the news to officially come down. Give us a call, 402-951-1620.
Big Trev overreaction.
If you would like to let us know how you feel about this. Travis writes, being a fan of Nebraska is just dumb. Tony says, recall the entire board of regents. Nick writes, so we need a president, chancellor, and an AD.
Yes,
that is
correct. I'm glad we're checking the gauge of where we are.
Wow. Absolutely.
Not much of a depth chart Up there, is there?
And it looks like I just want to make sure.
More like a death chart, am I right?
Hey, yo.
Just want to make sure because Robin Washut just put out a story that is titled 4 Takeaways on Trev Alberts' departure to Texas A&M from Steve Sipple. So they are going as well with the mindset that it is officially done. But as by the way, they do have a chancellor. Nick, they do have a chancellor. So they need a president and an athletic director. But yeah, they do indeed have a chancellor. 402-951-1620. If you would like to give us some of your thoughts. Max Olson, friend of the Grum, just put out a tweet a couple of minutes ago. Nebraska AD Trev Alberts is leaving for Texas A&M. Staff has now been notified. Source tells The Athletic. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
reports about an email being sent from Trevor are coming down the pipe too.
Man,
wow.
It's funny.
The difference 20 minutes can make.
Yeah, and so Josh writes, worst day in athletic program since ever. Man, is Kevin Suits now reporting it. Is this the worst day? Like, I feel
was
like
this worse than Georgia Southern?
No, that was a great day because it led to Frost getting fired.
No,
but in all seriousness,
a lot of people expected
is this?
That loss.
I don't know if, and I'm not asking the question from Josh. I'm not asking it from the perspective of like you're an idiot, but I'm asking genuinely, Jimmy, is this the worst day that the athletic department has ever had, or what is this the worst day that the athletic department has had since? I mean,
I don't know if we could call it the worst day because we don't know what the replacement situation would be. I mean, if we somehow fall upwards, are we still having this conversation? I mean, I think it's one of those things. There's so much.
Do you believe that though?
I don't. I really don't, because I think we were in a really good spot with the guy we had. But I mean, if there's a situation that they get a president that can go out and be a lightning rod for an athletic director that's going to change things, I don't know if you could necessarily call this a bad day. The fact that we don't know the outcome, we don't have the ability to have hindsight right now, I think completely changes the narrative of as far as the worst day. It's bad. It's definitely not good. I don't know if I'm willing to call it the worst day.
Josh says Ted Carter gone, Trev Alberts gone, Matt Rule gone, Raiola's gone. Are we in hell? This is worse than post Osborne. Wow. Mikey Mike responds to that, Josh, saying, Josh, no, Rule averages $9 million a year and Raiola got $2 million in NIL money. Look, I said this earlier. And so the odd part about this whole discussion that we will now get to have all over again for the final hour of the show is that, sorry, Nick, no dumb debates today, is that we kind of did it. And so we were exploring
We did it.
I entered today's show. Now, I know you disagreed. I entered today's show thinking this is it.
Gone. Yeah.
I thought that he was gone. And it's only within the last hour that I changed my tune, only to be wrong on that regard. So I was right in the aggregate, but wrong most recently.
What a sicko. Trev put in a full day's work and then left.
If you want a fun little story in our podcast feed, our radio replay feed, segment 7 is Trev is staying. Segment 8 is Brian Christopherson. Then segment 9 is Trev is leaving.
Wow, that's going to be
a story in 3 parts.
That's going to be quite the whiplash. I just heard from somebody as well that an email was sent to staff. I am fascinated to see what is in that email. It's going to get announced at some point. Someone will share it.
Release the emails.
I'm going to see his email. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of this. I'm guessing I can't.
You probably can.
But I would. Why do you have it?
You probably can. I mean, this was just sent to me from a pretty reliable source. I don't know if this is the actual email or not. I can't confirm for sure. But
I mean, Jimmy, that's your. I mean,
looks pretty legit.
And I mean, do you trust this person?
We'll talk. Can we visit this on the other side of the break?
No, we have like 15 minutes until the other side of the break.
Yeah, we'll get back to it.
Jimmy,
it's fine.
What is this?
Why didn't you just not say anything?
It's a tease. It's a possibility. We may or may not have the email.
Jimmy. Is there anybody else you wanted to book while we're here?
Yeah. Oh boy.
What a goofball.
Yeah. Mikey Mike says.
All I said is you may be able to get it. You're the one that asked me.
Yeah, I know, but you just said you have the email, so I'm asking you how much you trust this person and if you want to go with it on the air. Because if you do, I mean, we could absolutely do that.
I think we should hold off for right now.
Okay.
I'm confirming with another person.
Okay. All right. Well, so we might have an email.
Maybe. We might not. It's Schrodinger's email.
We might have an email. We might not. So going back to the questions, or Steve says, with the benefit of hindsight, I'd say the worst day in program history was the day Osborne decided to retire. Yeah, certainly a bad
that's where
one.
I'm at. That
kind of was the first domino, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Has not been the same since.
The Pack says, breaking news, 1 year from now, Trev Alberts targets Matt Rule to take over head coaching duties at Texas A&M. Aishan Joe, I'm not going to read that email or that tweet because it's very, very sad. JD says, worst day in athletics history was the canceling of the 2020 football season. But see, they brought back the football season.
Yeah.
So the football season ended up returning. So in the end, I mean, it was a decision they made, but this isn't going to be undone.
What if Scott Frost is the new AD?
Then
the person that removed him is gone.
Never expect anything good to happen again. Email coming in. Matt writes, hey, Sirius hire Barry Alvarez, athletic director and head coach Wisconsin, and made Wisconsin the new Nebraska. Go for it. Andy is a former Husker football player. He is super old, but sometimes you get a new pope in the short term to stabilize and boost football. That would be a atrocious decision in my estimation. I think that would be awful. I think that would be a really, really bad move. I also don't think that is anywhere near a possibility of happening. I don't think that it is anywhere.
Kevin Kugler threw out an interesting
Bruce Rasmussen.
And I think that would be really interesting for a guy that obviously has done a lot, not with football, people forget, but was able to build a very successful athletic department at Creighton, what that would look like. And would there be National J-Sker Day if that were to occur?
I think that see now Bruce, let me look up his age real fast. Kind of like what we were just talking about.
Yeah, not a spring chicken.
Not a spring chicken at all. He's 73. Yeah. I mean, look.
Oh, he could almost be president.
Maybe even as like the
could almost be. I mean, certainly, I would like the idea of stabilizing things, and I think Bruce Rasmussen did a hell of a job at Creighton. The big issues with him would be that he worked at Creighton, so thus not a football school. So he wasn't hiring football coaches. Trev Alberts also, though, worked at a school, all kidding aside, where he canceled football and wrestling, and then he was able to make a hire of a football coach that I do think is a really, really good one. So that shouldn't be a reason that you don't hire somebody, but we'll see. Joel in Iowa brings up a name that I know a lot of other people are going to say, and his name came up when Trev got hired, and that was Jamie Pollard, who is in Ames, Iowa. Nick?
I was just saying, do you think that any experienced AD would want to jump into this perceivable dumpster fire? Do you think it'll be someone who's a brand new to the AD game?
It's a great question, Nick, because at this moment in time, there is no president.
And that's going to have to happen first, in my opinion. Because I don't, Nick, to your point, I don't think there's anybody that would take this job while that chair is
That's
open.
why I'm thinking it would have to be somebody who's never been an AD before, so they don't know what they're getting into.
I don't think anybody would take this job without knowing who their boss was. That'd be a really tough look, especially for a project that's this big, for a university that has this many moving parts. I don't even think somebody that's never been an AD before would take that job without knowing who their boss was going to be.
Yeah, so that's a problem. Jim and O'Neill says Jamie Pollard first call. So you have that as an issue right there. On the other end, if you want to go at it from the positive perspective, of course, the monetary component will be very, very high. Look, I do think that it's okay. Talking about worst days, I agree with you. Ultimately, in hindsight, we're not going to know the answer to that question for years from now. But good God, do they need to get somebody in here and make sure that everything is going to be fine? There is the football stadium component that is going to hover over everything.
Yeah, what happens with that?
There is the Matt Rule component that is going to hover over everything.
Which are you more worried about?
I don't care. I mean, to be fair, I would say I don't care about the football stadium right now, and I would say it's making sure that Matt Rule feels comfortable with things moving forward.
It would be hard to believe that if they, from an on the field perspective, if they got things heading in the right direction, we're talking 9-10 wins next season, that this would be enough for him to want to leave. Like if things are going well, it'd be hard for me to think that it would just be like, all right, we'll see you later.
Yeah. Belmont Bill asks, what's the point? Man.
I can't fault people for feeling that way, but I mean, we've all, like, I always try to look at this from my perspective, my life experiences, right? And I think we've all been in a situation where you've been at a place where you've lost a boss that you felt comfortable with, and it just makes everybody and everything else kind of uneasy about the situation. And obviously that's what happened with Ted Carter. And like, I know it's hard to think that your probably 9-to-5 situation is very similar to the athletic director at Nebraska, but I mean, it's not really, it's comfortability. It's believing in the place you're at. And it's probably far-fetched to think about Trev Alberts not feeling that way about Nebraska, but clearly that's the case.
Alex Lingus is probably worse of what it means, big picture, where our leadership is at. And then he adds, fantastic. Yeah, man, just when I continue to think about things moving forward and what this means. And yes, as Aaron also says, tough look for the Grumball. I mean, that's the thing.
The Grumball's just dead now, right?
It is.
Which sucks. Okay, can I
R.I.P.
just play it one more time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We got the email. We were able to confirm with a couple of different sources. Trev Alberts wrote, Husker staff, I'm writing to inform you that earlier today I informed interim president, I'm not going to try to say it, that I am resigning my position as director of athletics to accept the same role at Texas A&M. I'm very sorry for the timing and that I was not able to communicate these changes to you in person. Thank you so much for all that you have done to make Husker athletics so special. I'm grateful for all that we accomplished together and believe that because of you, Nebraska is well positioned for the evolving changes within our industry. Tough decisions will need to be made. Unity of vision and high execution will be necessary, but I'm confident the leadership in Nebraska will rise to the occasion. Nebraska athletics is full of high character, hardworking, and talented staff and coaches. It was an honor to get to partner with you to experience unprecedented success. Thank you again.
How fast is he going to Texas if he's not able to get everybody together and tell them in person? Why does it have to be through an email?
Because in a situation like this, Nick, it's really fast-moving parts. I mean, I can't even count on one hand how many times when Frost got hired, he was like, the timing of these decisions.
Well, I mean, part of it, yeah, since it's being reported.
Right.
You know, they just, you know, in these types of situations, they just want to get the news out as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Text from the 402 says, Nick, slow down the grumball so that it's sad. Let's get a
grumble.
sad final
like
grumball.
the happy hour is on the air, sad grumble.
Instead of them hitting the ground, it's just plopping.
Yeah. Michaela says, this is embarrassing. Josh says, when Rule and his players leave, who the hell would we hire without someone to hire them and someone to hire who hires them? That is going to be the question. Who is going to hire? Who is going to hire? Who watches The Watchmen? Who is going to hire? Who's going to hire the person who hires? Man,
I hate to say that, like, I'm not surprised, but I mean, it's one of those things that, like, is having your name up in the Ring of Fame enough? Like, is that enough to keep somebody somewhere? And I don't think it is.
No, I mean, the answer is obviously no, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. If there's anything to learn from today, it could be you don't need to, like, stop caring about that stuff.
Yeah, that's,
you know,
it's obviously the least important part.
Like, it sucks, right? Like, that doesn't that's not the part that bothers me. That's not the part that I want to think about. It's like, wow, the alum left. It's just like, I thought Happer put it incredibly well earlier on the crossover when he said, like, he's not done. Matt Rule right now is not done. Or excuse me, we'll see what we say about him.
Yeah, hopefully he's not done.
Yeah, that was a slip. But I didn't think that he was done. There were so many things that were left to do. Start with the stadium, obviously. You know, the next thing that I would say is football really getting on solid ground. BC mentioned it a few minutes ago. I think that they're going in the right direction. I believe that they're going in the right direction. I believe that basketball is going in the right direction. We don't know if that's the case. And so he is not there right now to see that through. You know, I know I already mentioned the stadium. There is a lot of other stuff that's going on too, of course, behind the scenes. And you wonder, you know, what's going to happen with all of those things. So that's the part that really, really blows. It's just that stuff's not done.
That was the feedback that I was the most confused by people asking us today. Like, do you feel like it maybe he just feels like he wants to go, like, start over and build something from the ground up again? It was like, we're still on the ground here. Like, what? Like, it doesn't feel like that at all. Like, he still has a lot of things that he put on the table. Stadium project in particular, that was kind of his baby and his design that never got anywhere. And football, yeah, it looks like it's heading back in the right direction, but they had another 5-7 season a year ago. And are we willing to just say, well, he was really happy with Fred Hoiberg's season this year, and that's why? I don't think so.
Katie says, the irony of this all after Nebraska fans spent the last month saying Mac hated Creighton and was leaving is amazing. It's funny that Katie brings that up because earlier today, one of the things that I thought about was the Creighton situation over the last month. Because, look, I think that, I believe, because I was told by people I trust, that was all very real. And the negotiations that were happening, behind the scenes, but also there were negotiations that were happening in public.
Yeah.
And that's why Greg McDermott was doing so many interviews with so many different outlets, whether it's Pardon My Take, whether it's Scott Van Pelt. That was all real. That was happening. And ultimately, they were able
really happening in front of our eyes.
They were able to figure out how to make it work. Greg McDermott is back at Creighton. He signed a deal that is going to pay him a ton of money. And while he is getting a raise, it wasn't just about that. It was about other stuff going on behind the scenes. And he was able to get that. And I don't know exactly what Trev Alberts was hoping for and wanting. I have some ideas, a couple of things that I have.
Apparently some other people do too.
No, yeah. But certainly the president and what was going on there, I'm guessing that played a part, of course. But they were not able to figure it out. And it's funny. One of the things that you said as this show began, as we started the crossover, was the longer this lasts, can that be good for Nebraska? And certainly by the time that we got to the 4:00 hour, we are 7 hours removed from the first story breaking. And we're like, wow, could this end up being good for Nebraska where he is using it all as leverage? And whether he was or not, the answer in the end is he's leaving. And so it doesn't really matter.
And I think if you want to take a positive away from this, and it may be hard to at this time, is like if it appears that Nebraska made a concentrated effort to try to keep him. Like I don't know why else it would have went into this late of an hour unless there was obviously somebody somewhere trying to make an effort to make sure that they did everything they could to keep Trev Alberts. And apparently there just wasn't enough to make that happen.
Kyle, as I always call him, noted Wisconsin fan Kyle, says Nebraska fans have been so much about the Michigan man type hire. Time to move on from that type of thinking. No one needs to understand Nebraska. They need to come in and do the job just like any other university. A, I agree. I couldn't agree more. B, what's funny about the hiring of Trev Alberts is I never thought that it was not a good old boy hire. You know,
it didn't feel that way.
It certainly never felt that way to me. I thought that hire happened for a variety of reasons. You know, some were that other people perhaps weren't as interested in the job as they would have hoped that they were. The other is they went back to him, but it was not because he's a former Husker. I think that it certainly helped that he was a former Husker in terms of a lot of the things that he was able to do. But I agree. That's the positive. As I always say, when I said at the end of the Frost era, I'll say it, I guess, now at the end of the Trev Alberts era. Like, you don't have to think that way. You don't have to think that way, that is, what it is going to be, or that's what you need.
And some people kind of have the opposite approach of maybe we need something different to make it feel different around here. And I know a lot of people hated that with Bill Callahan, but maybe enough time has been removed from the good old days that there needs to be some changes.
Well, that's the funny thing. I mean, they've tried it every way.
Yeah.
They've had an athletic director that's not from here. They've had an athletic director that felt like he was from here and Bill Moose, but wasn't. They've had Tom Osborne. They've had Trev Alberts. They have tried it every which way. They had Bill Byrne. And it's funny, the most successful athletic director of my lifetime, though I barely remember the Bill Byrne era, was Bill Byrne. But he wasn't really appreciated at the time because him and Tom Osborne butted heads.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phones. Tim is up at the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Tim, what's going on? Tim?
Tim's gone.
Tim?
Good talking to you, Tim.
Tim is gone.
Sad.
A text from the 402. Did Jimmy just say the good news is that people tried to get Trev to stay, but he still didn't? Does Jimmy know what good news is?
They came to Trev with tears in their eyes.
Tears in their eyes. Big, strong men with tears in their eyes.
I mean, it's just a positive takeaway that they didn't just fold and say, all right, see you later. Like, I think that is a positive. That it wasn't just a rollover, show your belly type situation.
The positive boys. Boys. So I said 6:05. It is now official from Texas A&M at 5:20. Trev Alberts has been hired at Texas A&M. Welcome to Aggie Land. I will read from the statement that they just put out. Texas A&M President Mark A. Welsh III. Good Lord.
Has named the most Texas A&M name ever.
Has named Trev Alberts as his new director of athletics, an All-American University of Nebraska football player who served in AD roles in Nebraska for the past 15 years. I'm going to skip ahead.
That makes it sound like he's not actually the active AD.
I'm gonna skip ahead past a lot of his accolades and what he has done. Here is a quote from Welsh. With Trev's expertise the Aggies are poised to not only excel on the fields, tracks, and courts, but also successfully navigate the multifaceted intersection of sports, commerce, and student-athlete empowerment. He has a profound understanding of the intricate business of athletics and the evolving landscape of college athletics, particularly in the realm of NIL. He added, I can't imagine a better individual to lead the Aggies athletics program into the future. Let's find some quotes from Trev. From my perspective, there has never been a more consequential time in history for higher education and the evolving landscape of intercollegiate athletics. Leadership matters now more than ever before. My interest in Texas A&M is not only due to its prestigious reputation, but also because of President Welsh's compelling vision, in which I believe athletics can play a small but important role in helping Texas A&M achieve unprecedented success. They write in the release, leaving his beloved alma mater will be bittersweet, Albert said. Back to Trev. I truly want to express my gratitude to the University of Nebraska. The school and its fans have been and always will be immensely important to me. Nebraska changed my life, and I'm thankful for the incredible 15 years I spent here. Let's see. Then a quote from R.C. Slocum, who is their interim athletic director. So there you go. He is going to
the Texas A&M University official Twitter page has tweeted it out as well.
Yeah,
man, I think everybody was afraid of this situation. Like if it didn't work out, but I don't think anybody could have pointed at this and said, well, if it feels like it's going well, he'll probably leave. Like people have said that ad nauseum about Matt Rule, but never once about Trev Alberts.
Yes, I didn't think that he would leave.
Yeah, I just because he talked about how much he loved this place and how much he wanted to be here, and to be a fly in that wall would have been amazing to figure out the big reasons why. Maybe we'll get that, maybe we won't.
Josh, when was the last off season where we didn't have something that'll just carry us on to the next season?
I mean, honestly, I know that we joked about last year and John and Happer bringing about the bad with the whole training table.
No, but even then, it was all Matt Rule speculation leading up to his first year.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay,
like we've never, I feel like in my time here,
and
there's just always been something.
It was just Frost.
Can't we just
that it was Martinez. Before that, it was Riley.
Can't we just have a chill summer?
Well, yeah. If you want a chill summer, never. It's never happened before.
Maybe I should go to A&M.
Yeah, never happened before. Back to the phones we go. Kelly is up next. Kelly, what's going on?
Oh, not much. You?
Yeah, just talking, just saying words.
Hey, I'll just let you know where I'm coming from. I have not been an Alberts fan since he got rid of wrestling at UNO. So have I missed part of the story about the UNO new AD wondering where some finances went with the old guy?
You're talking about the
gone away?
No, I mean it's still out there, and we've hit on it a couple of times today. We haven't done like a deep dive back into it, Kelly, but yeah, that you're talking about the Flatwater Free Press story from back in November, right?
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering, is he running from that?
Kelly, it's a
because again, I am not an Alberts fan.
Yep. No, Kelly, thank you for the call. I mean, I said this, Jimmy, to BC a little bit earlier, and I can just kind of re-describe it now. So I kind of put things into two separate buckets. So in one bucket was the story about UNO and those fundraising, which we were just talking about with the caller.
Right.
There was the fundraising for the stadium project, which I was told, within minutes of that Flatwater Free Press story going to print, I received a note from someone that said, this is going to be problematic for Trev raising money because people are going to be wary to give him money. Let's play.
And why wouldn't it, right?
Exactly. And before we move on, we're going to play a clip from Trev. This was on the Husker Online podcast within the last week or so.
There's a lot that impacts it. Obviously, we don't have a president right now. And, there is an impact to the university there. And so probably would be good for us at some point to get that figured out.
So, I think that what I was hearing in November is very founded given the tone in which he has there. So I also added into this bucket the lawsuit that came out recently involving the Nebraska women's basketball team. So there's all that stuff that's just kind of there. And then of course the general leadership issues. And I know a lot of people have opinions on the current Board of Regents and the lack of a president. So there were those two buckets. And my question was where were the concerns? Where was Trev's concerns? And I think that's essentially what the caller is asking, is it about the bucket one that has some of those stuff, or is it about the bucket two? Obviously, as with everything in life, the answer is both.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a real situation where it's all of the above.
Yeah.
I mean, when you and listen, just think about everything we just said in the last 5 minutes. It's only been like a 2-year span where all this stuff has kind of come about, and on top of that, you've had to fire basically the chosen one that didn't pan out too. So it's not like you can look at this short amount of time and say, well, he's only been here, a handful of years. It's been a very tumultuous. Thank you. Handful of years, and he's had a lot to deal with.